We're here today in the kitchen building at historic Gunston Hall, Virginia, making cardamom and orange flower water cookies, or small cakes. The idea of these cookies can be found in the book The Dutch Girl by Donna Thorland. Donna, Gema, and I collaborated to create this recipe. Koekjes was a word derived from the Dutch settlers in New York and was translated as cookies. When I read the passage from The Dutch Girl, which had Garrett bringing enough cookies for Anna and himself, the book described them as buttery treats tasting of cardamom and orange water. Garrett had placed them inside the pocket of his velvet coat, and the perfume scent blended sweetly with the bay rum he wore. Those buttery treats sounded delicious, so, wanting to know what they tasted like, I decided to figure out the ingredients to make the cookies described in the book, and I came up with the following. 1 cup white flour, 1/4 cup white wheat flour, 1/4 cup white ground cornmeal.
What type of cornmeal is best?
I like to use the cornmeal from Stratford Hall or Mount Vernon's grist mills, but you can purchase stone ground cornmeal in your local store. We also need 1 cup of natural sugar.
Where do you get that type of sugar?
You can get this type of sugar at the grocery store. Look for sugar in the raw, demerara, or turbinado. Our next ingredient is 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda.
Did they have baking soda in the 18th century?
No, leavening agents generally used in the time period were yeast, beaten egg whites, or pearl ash. Then we need 1/2 cup of butter.
Should it be at room temperature?
Yes, room temperature is best. We will flavor it with 1 teaspoon orange flower water.
What is orange flower water and where can I get some?
Orange flower water is made from distilled orange blossoms and is widely available at several stores. Our next ingredient is 1 teaspoon of ground cardamom.
And what is cardamom?
It's a spice made from the seed pods of plants from the ginger family. In the 18th century, the Dutch East India Company imported cardamom, and it was often used in chocolate recipes at the time. Today, it is in a liquid or powder form and is widely available. The last ingredients are 1 teaspoon of ground cinnamon and 1 egg. So now we'll begin with a medium-sized bowl. Put in your flour, cornmeal, baking soda, and spices. Mix them together and set the bowl aside. In a larger bowl, the butter and sugar are mixed together or creamed until smooth. Next, add the egg and orange flower water, mixing until blended. Take the flour mixture, add it a little at a time until all are combined into a dough-like consistency.
Preheat your oven to 325 degrees. When cooking over a fire, ensure your fire has been going for a while so there are plenty of wood coals available. Take your shovel, pull some of the coals from the fire and put them on the floor about a foot or so away from the fire. Place your bake kettle on top of the pile of coals, keeping the lid on. This will make sure it preheats properly.
Take the dough, pinch out small pieces, and roll it into a ball in the palm of your hand. Place each ball on a buttered cookie sheet or baking tray. Do not handle them very much as the butter will melt and the dough will fall apart. Press the dough down with your hand or with the bottom of a round glass, but make sure the glass is buttered so the dough doesn't stick.
How many cookies does this recipe make?
This recipe makes about 2 dozen cookies.
We will bake these cookies 2 ways, with a tin Dutch baking oven and with a bake kettle. The first step will be to place the cookies on the tray. Then slide it into the tin Dutch baking oven and set the oven in front of the fire. The light and heat of the fire will reflect off of the tin to bake the cookies, and we will periodically check them.
We will also bake them in the bake kettle that we preheated earlier.
Tell us more about the bake kettle.
Well, many of us today know it as a Dutch oven. To keep the cookies from burning, I put them on a low trivet inside the oven. I then put the lid on top of the oven and placed wood coals on the lid so the cookies will brown on top.
The cookies take about 10 minutes, but they may take longer over a slow fire. You can tell if they are done by their smell and by touching the center. When the center collapses, they are almost done, but not quite.
Interestingly enough, the cookies in the tin oven bake darker than the bake kettle. Either way, they'll taste great.
These cookies can be eaten as is, Or you can ice them with your favorite flavors.
Small cakes were normally eaten during the dessert course in the 18th century and were a special treat.
You can find out more about these cookies in Donna's book, The Dutch Girl, available at donnathorland.com. For more on 18th century cooking, including an icing recipe, you can see my book called A Book of Cookery by a Lady, which is available at K. Walters at thesignofthegreyhorse.com.
Thanks for joining us today. We hope you enjoyed learning how to make these delicious cookies. Now, let's try some.